There's a fifth-generation stealth fighter on planet Earth that can stop dead in midair, hover like a drone, and land on a moving warship in the middle of a storm. And the terrifying tech making that happen has a Rolls-Royce logo stamped right on it. Yeah, you heard that right. While most people think Rolls-Royce is just a flex for rich dudes and celebrities driving $500,000 land yachts, that's literally a side story. Behind closed doors, Rolls-Royce is a straight-up military defense titan. And this isn't some new gimmick. Back in 1906, when Charles Rolls and Henry Royce teamed up, they were obsessed with build quality. By World War I, they were already building over half of all Allied Air Force engines. Fast forward to today, and they're building mind-blowing tech. We're talking jet propulsion that bends in midair, marine turbines that generate enough power for a whole city, and nuclear submarine reactors that run for 25 years straight without ever refueling. So today, we're cracking open the military vault to check out the most insane engines Rolls-Royce ever created for pure warfighting dominance. Let's dive in. Alright, so let's kick things off with an engine system so absurd, it honestly feels like something straight out of sci-fi movie. Picture this, you've got a 40,000-pound stealth fighter, the F-35B Lightning II. It's built to fly almost Mach 1.6, drop guided bombs, and stay completely invisible to radar. There's just one massive problem. To land on small assault ships or short bombed-out runways, this massive metal beast needs to be able to stop dead in midair and hover like a drone. How do you do that without making the plane too heavy to fly or blowing a hole straight through the ship's metal deck with scorching jet heat? Simple. You call Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce engineered what they call the LiftSystem, and the tech inside this thing is downright psychotic. Directly behind the pilot's cockpit sits a massive 50-inch vertical fan. But this fan doesn't have its own fuel tank. It's physically connected to the main jet engine in the back by a massive driveshaft. When the pilot hits the hover button, a clutch engages, sending a mind-boggling 29,000 horsepower through that shaft straight into the front fan. That's more horsepower than 30 Lamborghini Aventadors combined, all surging into a single fan right behind the pilot's seat. And that's only half the system. While the front fan blows 20,000 pounds of cool, compressed air straight down to lift the front of the jet, the rear engine exhaust nozzle, called the three-bearing swivel module, literally bends 95 degrees downward in just 2.5 seconds while burning full thrust. Think about that for a second. You have thousands of degrees of roaring jet exhaust suddenly being directed straight into the ocean, lifting a 20-ton weapon of war straight up into the sky. And to keep the plane from flipping upside down, Rolls-Royce built tiny roll posts inside the wings that bleed off high-pressure air to keep the jet rock-solid stable in midair. The end result? A fifth-generation stealth fighter that can take off from a tiny dirt strip in the middle of nowhere, rain absolute devastation on a target, and then hover and land on a moving ship in the middle of a storm. It's easily one of the most mechanically complex pieces of machinery ever crammed inside an aircraft, and Rolls-Royce is the only company on Earth that figured out how to build it. Now, to understand how Rolls-Royce pulled off the F-35 tech, we gotta go back to the OG grandfather of hovering fighter jets, the Rolls-Royce Pegasus. Picture the Cold War in the 1960s. NATO generals were having absolute panic attacks because they realized if war broke out with the Soviet Union, every single runway in Europe would get nuked or bombed in the first 10 minutes. If you can't run down a runway, your multi-million-dollar fighter jet is basically a useless piece of lawn furniture. So military engineers asked a crazy question. What if a fighter jet didn't need a runway at all? Enter the Harrier jump jet and the insane Pegasus engine that made it possible. Instead of sticking a regular jet nozzle out the back and calling it a day, Rolls-Royce engineers had an absolute wild idea. They designed the Pegasus turbofan with 4 swiveling nozzles poking right out the sides of the plane's body, 2 for cool fan air in the front, and 2 for roaring hot jet exhaust in the back. The pilot could use a single lever in the cockpit to physically rotate all 4 nozzles at the exact same time. Point them backward, you're screaming through the sky at near Mach 1. Tilt them 90 degrees straight down. Congratulations, you are now hovering a 18,000-pound armed fighter jet directly over a forest clearing or a parking lot. And it gets crazier. Because standard flight controls like rudders and ailerons don't do jack when you're hovering in place, Rolls-Royce bled high-pressure air out of the engine and piped it to tiny thrusters on the nose, tail, and wingtips, basically turning the fighter into a giant pilotable drone. During the Falklands War, pilots figured out they could swivel those nozzles while flying forward at full speed. It was a tactic called VIFF-ing, vectoring in forward flight. If an enemy jet got on a Harrier's tail, the pilot could dump the nozzles down, drop speed from 500 miles per hour to a dead stop in seconds, force the enemy jet to fly right past them, and lock on for an easy kill. The Pegasus engine ran for over 40 years across multiple militaries and changed aerial warfare forever. It proved that Rolls-Royce wasn't just making smooth luxury rides, they were rewriting the laws of physics in the sky. But if you think hovering fighter jets are wild, wait until you see what Rolls-Royce did when they took a massive commercial airliner engine and shoved it inside a stealth warship. Alright, so we've covered stealth fighters hovering in midair. Now let's talk about what happens when Rolls-Royce takes an engine meant for a commercial airliner and drops it inside a 15,000-ton stealth warship. Meet the Rolls-Royce MT-30. See, modern navies faced a massive headache entering the 21st century. Warships aren't just firing conventional deck guns anymore. We're talking high-powered 3D combat radars, laser defense systems, and massive railguns, tech that eats up power like crazy. Old-school diesel engines just couldn't handle the load. So Rolls-Royce looked at their massive Trent 800 jet engine, the exact same turbine that powers commercial Boeing 777 passenger planes, and said, yeah, we can turn this into a weapon. The result? The most power-dense marine gas turbine on planet Earth. This single engine pushes out 40 megawatts of raw power. That's over 54,000 horsepower packed into a self-contained module about the size of a small shipping container. To put that into perspective, a single MT-30 produces enough electrical energy to power 50,000 residential homes simultaneously. And major navies aren't just putting one inside their ships. The Royal Navy's massive HMS Queen Elizabeth aircraft carrier drops 2 of these bad boys inside, giving the carrier enough juice to power a medium-sized city while cruising across the Atlantic at 30 knots. What makes the MT-30 absolute black magic is its instant power delivery. In traditional warships, getting a 600-foot steel vessel up to full speed took time, while steam or diesel systems ramped up. The MT-30 can hit max power output in seconds. Even better, it drives an all-electric grid aboard warships like the U.S. Navy's USS Zumwalt destroyer. The engine generates massive amounts of electricity, and the ship's computer routes that power wherever it's needed instantly, whether that's surging the propellers to chase down a threat or dumping megawatts directly into laser defense grids. It's basically an aviation jet engine wrapped in armor plating, dominating the surface of the ocean. But as insane as 54,000 horsepower on the water is, what Rolls-Royce built to run underneath the ocean makes this look like child's play. Next time, we're breaking down the 25-year nuclear reactor, the supercruising Eurofighter engine, and the iconic V-12 that saved the free world in World War II. If you made it this far into the video, do me a quick favor, share this with a friend or tech nerd who loves insane engineering. Part 2 is coming up next.